It is May 26th. It is day 127 of the Trump presidency. I'm live. I'm not dead. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I abandoned you guys for a few days. I just needed to, we have a long road ahead of us. There's going to be lots of news, and I wanted to just ignore it for a few days. But anyways, I'm back. So let's talk about what happened. Well, first of all, you may want to go look this up and watch some of the videos, but Trump went on a whole kind of rampage about Putin, calling him crazy. Here's the thing I find it confusing, and I'm unsure what I actually believe about this. When Trump had a phone conversation with Putin, I think it was like a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. It was on a Monday. So it was either last Monday or the Monday before that. After that conversation, Trump backed out of the idea of pressuring Putin into a 30-day ceasefire, and then came away saying he may not participate in peace talks at all between Putin and Ukraine anymore. Okay. So now fast forward to, I think it was either yesterday. Fast forward to yesterday, where Trump is now saying he doesn't like how many people Putin is killing and calling Putin crazy in public. And I think we really do have to ask ourselves if this is just acting to make it seem like he is on the right side of history. I just don't know what I actually believe. One thing's for sure, he's not putting any actual pressure on Putin. He's not participating in putting the pressure on Putin. The EU is sanctioning Russia. We're not doing that. So he can sit there and say that Putin is crazy, but he's not doing anything about it. So unfortunately, the war in Ukraine has drastically escalated. And Ukraine is claiming that the biggest drone attack that has ever happened so far in the last couple of years just happened. So definitely things are not slowing down. Again, I am getting the impression that both Putin and Netanyahu feel the crunch of time and dwindling resources and possibly dwindling support. So they are trying to accomplish their ends as quickly as they possibly can. They certainly have never cared about civilian casualties. And I think now they probably do even less. So that's my 2 cents on that situation. Gaza is still very bad. It's a very, very bad situation. Some people say that there's almost no aid at all getting through. Some people say it's just too little. I mean, I don't know what organization it was that just put out an announcement saying that 14,000 actual babies are at risk of starvation there right now. They don't have any food. They can't feed the adults. They certainly can't feed the babies. They don't have water. They don't have access to restrooms. They don't have access to medical care. I mean, it's very bad. And there's still constant shelling from Netanyahu. I mean, it's constant. So things have absolutely not gotten better in that situation at all. And again, I hear a lot of countries talking about doing stuff, but I don't see anyone doing anything. There's countries being like, you better stop, but no one's doing anything. So I don't know. Oh, by the way, if I did not tell you, I know I told you that there was a video going around on TikTok that made it look like China had gotten past the barricade to deliver aid in Gaza. I heard a source say that video was not, actually, I'm pretty sure it was Google that said that the video is not real. Here's the other thing to keep in mind, though. I believe that Google does have pretty heavy ties to Israel. So I don't know. I feel like, unfortunately, it's tough to trust a lot of what we see right now. I generally trust Al Jazeera. I generally trust the BBC. And I feel like somehow it would have gotten through that China delivered that aid if it actually had actually happened. So I'm going to lean towards saying that it's probably not true. But obviously, it would. I'm sure there's some concern on the part of both Israel and the United States about the idea of China becoming not only a new world leader, but also kind of like a moral leader, or making it okay for other countries to step in and do things like that. So I just wouldn't be entirely surprised if it was being suppressed. So my 2 cents on that. Okay. Trump is still in this huge feud with Harvard. Harvard released an announcement saying that they were going to, this is pretty petty and funny, that they were going to make a course free through Harvard Online, teaching people about authoritarianism and how to recognize the dictatorship. Hilarious and petty. And Trump is now saying he wants to take the $3 billion that has always been given to Harvard and redirect that money to trade schools. I mean, honestly, I have no problem. I mean, I would love to see the government give money to trade schools. We actually desperately need skilled workers. That being said, I am very reticent of anti-intellectualism in this country. We already have a horrible problem with education and people reading at very low levels. And unfortunately, this administration and the Republicans in general, no one understand that the less education people have, the more they vote Republican. That's just actual data. Those are actual facts. And so they would love for people to not read and to just be skilled in trades. By the way, I am not saying that blue collar workers are not educated or that they don't read. I don't never seen any data saying that. I'm just saying if people were to stop pursuing any form of higher education and not travel and just stay in their towns and not read, it would benefit the Republicans, and they know that. And so, yes, they are trying to steer people away from thinking their own thoughts and having empathy and all kinds of things. Anyways, North Carolina, unfortunately, has been denied FEMA support by Trump. He's not going to give them anything. You know, we knew that this was coming, and we're literally at the very beginning of hurricane season. We're just getting ramped up. This summer is going to suck. There's going to be a lot of gigantic, destructive storms, hurricanes, tornadoes, even just like strong wind storms. I mean, floods maybe. We're just getting started. And people are unfortunately going to be screwed. And it's not going to just, you know, maybe if it worked that it was only the Republicans that were getting screwed by it, then they could just be learning their lessons. But unfortunately, it's children, it's old people. And honestly, like, regardless of how they voted, I don't really want to watch everybody suffer and see a giant spike in homelessness because people can't afford to fix their homes. I mean, it's a mess. And it's really unfortunate. Okay, so Trump is planning to delay the tariffs on the EU, which the last time I heard, he has them set to 50%, and he's now delaying them till July 9th. I mean, who knows? He's all over the place with tariffs. And, you know, he's also probably getting reamed out by a lot of financial people because we are just about to see some pretty extreme consequences coming through. In fact, Walmart just announced that they will be raising their prices by the end of the month. Trump told them not to. You can't, you can't tell corporate America what to do, buddy. You're going to have to change some rules if you want to do that. And he can't require a giant corporation to not raise their prices when he's raising their cost of business. I am not on Walmart's side, for the record. I'm absolutely not. I wanted to see Kamala go after all the businesses for price gouging. That's what you have to do. It's really hard to prove. And also, what you should do is you should cap CEO pay and tie it to the wages of the poorest workers at that company. say it can't be more than, I don't know, 50 times or 100 times the wage of the lowest worker. And then watch them give those people raises. That's how it used to be, by the way. In the good old days that everybody keeps referencing back towards, there was no CEOs making millions of dollars in this country. That was not a thing. They were required to dump the money back into the company. And people had pensions. So that if they sacrificed their entire freaking life working somewhere, they had something to show for it and they were taken care of. And that's the way it should be. Anyways, I'll get off that soapbox because I could go on about that for a real long time. Texas is trying to pass a bill that will require public schools to showcase the 10 Commandments within their classrooms. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it passes. Super illegal, super gross, but was it Josh Hawley? I don't know who. Someone was interviewing one of the, I don't know if it was a senator or someone from the Congress, but interviewing one of the government representatives that's working on passing this bill. And that man made her look so stupid. He was like asking her questions about basically which commandments they're violating in order to try to pass this bill. First, he started off asking a bunch of questions about what day it was, because it was a Saturday. And he was like, isn't, one of the 10 Commandments is not to work on the Sabbath. The Sabbath is Saturday. We're here. Like, why couldn't you have waited until Monday to try to pass this bill? We're here today. Then he talked about people that were lying and, I don't know, a couple of the other commandments. But basically he was like, why don't you guys focus on getting your own government representatives to follow the 10 Commandments themselves first before we start displaying this in classrooms. It was pretty sweet. Okay. So the bill, the budget bill, the tax bill. Senator Ron Johnson, I'm sure I would dislike the man in real life. However, he seems to have some moral boundaries, and I really appreciate that. He's a Republican. He's a Republican representative from Wisconsin, senator. And he is saying that he believes that they have enough opposing Republicans to prevent the bill from passing through the Senate. I would love to be hopeful about that. I am, however, not really. I think, again, we keep hearing all these stories about people being threatened and bribed and stuff. So I'll believe it when I see it. And I know that Trump and his cronies are absolutely desperate to get this bill through. It's going to change our country forever, probably, if they pass it. And some of the things it's going to do are just so cruel. I think that's part of the reason why I've been so burnt out is this bill. And how close it is to getting passed, and just like the implications of it are pretty intense. Anyways, I know that they're giving a deadline of early July to try to actually get it all the way through. Yeah. I hope that Ron Johnson is right, but we'll see. That's literally all we can say about this. I mean, you can try calling your representatives, but I think when it comes down to the wire, if someone, I was going to say, puts a, to their, if somebody pressures them, I don't know that our phone calls are going to make much of a difference. And I'm not going to, please do everything you can think of to do. I will not discourage it at all. I'm just saying I am not feeling super hopeful about it. I hope I'm wrong, though. I hope that I'm just getting jaded, There's a very good chance that that's the case. Speaking of threats, so a bunch of judges are considering hiring their own security, like security duty, because of the threats they're receiving. Judges that are voting against Trump's executive orders, Some of them are getting pizzas delivered to their private residences, which is like an old mafia trick to be like, I know where you live, anonymously. We're watching you. We can, if we can send a pizza, we can send a hitman, kind of a thing. Yeah, that's really scary. And I don't blame them. I think, you know, whether they have security detail through the government or not, it's probably better not to trust. I mean, private security is probably the way to go right now. If you're going to try to have integrity during this administration, you're at risk. You have a serious problem. Trump went on a long rant today for Memorial Day, very specifically calling out the judges in the country and the Supreme Court for upholding the law, calling them sick and twisted, talking about Biden's open border policy, which is the funniest part of that is that Biden deported more people, I think maybe even in the same period of time, than Trump has so far. They just did it quietly and they did it legally. They weren't doing it in crazy, inhumane ways, but they were deporting people. And anyways, it's, you know how he is. It was all in caps. It was like 2 full paragraphs of just absolute drama and nonsense. Okay. So Greenland, this is a fun story. And we have two more. Greenland made a deal directly with the EU to like let the EU, I don't know if it's purchase their minerals or if they're trading something, I don't know what they're doing. However, that means Trump's idea of taking over Greenland and stealing their minerals, it's not gonna fly, buddy. And now it's like, now Greenland is probably protected by the EU. The EU now has a financial, physical, vested interest in making sure that Trump does not invade Greenland. So that's funny and petty, and I love it, and it's great honestly, it's good for the world. It's good for Greenland. It's actually good for the sane Americans, too, because I don't want to see him do that. So anyways, I love that for Trump. And the last story tonight, it's not so much a story, I mean, kind of. So there is a new iteration of AI video creation called Google. I don't know if it's pronounced VO or VEO. I think probably VEO 3. It's VEO 3. You can go look it up. Google VEO 3. And there are a lot of people freaking out about it because it could essentially almost completely, if not completely, replace animation. Actors and actresses are worried about it. It can take someone's likeness and basically make an AI version of them talking, doing whatever. It's going to really confuse. I mean, there's a lot of implications. Think about it. It could take a video of me doing this and then create an entire podcast with an AI likeness of me. And it's getting so realistic that some of these videos, like, you know, there's a bunch of people that are playing with it and then releasing clips on TikTok. And some of them you absolutely cannot tell. I think it costs a decent amount of money. Here's the thing. We're at the very beginning of this, right? And things tend to snowball. So as this application gets stronger and more detailed, it's going to get harder and harder and harder. And I think the concern is we are already at a time when people barely trust anything they hear or see. And now, honestly, maybe they shouldn't. And like, that's really bad because we need them to. We need to be rebuilding trust between, not right now because we can't, but eventually, if we're going to continue as a society, if we're going to continue to have a government at all, then there needs to be some mutual interest that we have, a mutual thing that we're working on together, like a peaceful society that respects the earth. Yeah, right. I would love to see it. Will I? Probably not. Probably not live to see that. But the point is, obviously we know a lot of industries are already trying to replace all their employees with AI. There's companies like Duolingo that literally just did say that AI are better teachers. There's people that are like kind of scooching in that direction with our actual public schools saying that AI are better teachers than real teachers. I mean, I don't know how that would ever work because you're sending a child, unless we're doing everything remotely, which that has a whole other host of problems. I mean, I don't even know where to start with this, but I think what I'm saying is it's possible that there will be an avalanche of problems attached to this. I mean, the people who really understand it are saying like this is the end of our society and maybe the end of humankind. I don't really know where that part's coming from. I don't think I see it that way. But I think it could throw some pretty big wrenches into our current systems that are going to be really tough to overcome. And it probably just won't be good. Now I'm wondering if Snacks might be locked in the playroom because she's not in here. And that's very unusual for her. I'm going to have to go look for her. But anyways, that's it. That's the news. Sorry I abandoned you guys. I hope you're all doing okay. I hope you guys had a reasonably pleasant, relaxing Memorial Day weekend. I hope you got some sunshine. I was able to get the garden weeded and the things that hadn't been planted yet are in now. My asparagus is going crazy. Actually, I should have picked the last 5 or 6 stalks before they went bananas, but they're like 4 feet tall. I don't think you can eat them anymore after they get to like 4 feet tall. Anyways, because I guess, and I didn't realize this because I didn't know. I was like, what is this plant? Last year, I planted it. And I was like, I think this is supposed to be asparagus, but there's no asparagus coming out. So I was like, I don't know. Maybe this is a weed, but it doesn't look like grass. I don't know what this is. But then this year, all the asparagus started actually growing. And I guess it takes a year to like sort of gestate. Anyways, wish me luck, man. Gardens are finicky. And I wouldn't say that I necessarily have a green thumb, but I'm trying. I'm going to try a little harder this year. I at least finally bought a sprinkler. Last year, it was kind of a dry year and I didn't really water the cucumbers enough. And I just stopped paying attention to it. And the cucumbers were round and I looked it up and literally if a cucumber doesn't get enough water, it almost like looks like a mini watermelon. It just turns into like a weird round, I don't know. Anyways, that's enough of my gardening stories. I'll see you guys tomorrow.